What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we're heading into Avalanche, and we're going in today with Yi-Lin. So Avalanche is an interesting map because it's one of the few maps that has pretty much exclusively elemental enemies. They're all of a single element. They are ice, and that means that fire, traps, equipment, and abilities are all going to do more damage. However, Yi-Lin is pretty much purely a physical hero, and so we're not going to be dealing a lot of fire damage personally. However, because we have a good selection of traps that will deal that pretty well, that's what we're going to be focusing on using. And one last trap here. There's a few ways you can actually set this up. I'm just trying to think of which one I'm actually going to do here. There's defending at the actual rift, which allows you to use a ton of ceiling traps and ballista. And then there's defending at the gates, which is better if you're playing the actual survival map, because you can finish it up relatively quickly and doesn't cost you too much time. And because I want to try to 5-star this, I think that's what we're going to do. So where is bear hugs? Okay, slows, regular ballista is okay. I guess we could have the last trap be one barrel rollers don't work too well here. Let's go with the BGH ballista. It'll help with the bosses. And if I was in a place where I could actually set up a good amount of fire traps and have a guardian spot sort of nested in there, the best guardian for these guys will probably be the weapon right, because his ability to ignite enemies that are on fire is similar to Smolders, except being a guardian, he will deal way more damage. And we're Yi-Lin, so mana regeneration is kind of pointless. We're going to go for the firewall breaches and the ring of storms, and then we're going to go ahead and hop in. So here we go.
The Cloud Tiger Empire must prosper. I must win this battle.
Okay. So on Rift Lord, we're always going to start down here. Everybody is going to either go up these stairs, or you can pass them
With these traps, I protect the Empire.
Through this hallway here.
This trap will kill many minions.
Now, I always like to tell people to be careful about this lip. If you you are able to put like a single barricade right here, but if you notice, if I block this off, they're able to just go around here. You have to move this over a half space to block here.
Traps, I protect the Empire.
So if you're using a single barricade, you want it centered right here, and then you can move the other one over half a space, and you basically get exactly what I'm doing here, without spending the extra coin on this half space that really isn't useful.
I have a plan in mind.
That said, we're gonna do something like that. Slow everybody here.
Trap carefully.
And then toss up a regular
When
ballista.
I was a girl, we didn't have traps. We just had weapons.
And a Spitfire. Now, guardian spaces here aren't particularly useful, but like they can hit a few enemies, but I'm going to use that basically as a springboard to move further down once I get the opportunity later on. Because I'm going to have to run across the stage to reach the other area. Alright. And one thing you do have to look out for here is these archers, because unlike everybody else, they are not just going to follow the path. Once they have a target to fire at, they're basically just going to unload on you. Alright, now I'm going to grab a Healing Moon, and that'll basically solidify our HP reserves for the entire match. Now we can buff this up a bit. All these guys should basically be slowed all the way over to here. Can force them down just a bit more.
After much meditation,
those are BGH ballistas, and those will basically make sure that when we do get a boss, it dies. We'll want to eventually get 4 regular ballista over here.
Our barricades are under attack.
All right. And I think that should pretty much hold this on its own. If you want to be a little bit safer, block this. Ballista would have got him. And here, and that basically forces the enemies to path back up into the ballista range. We can also burn them here, slow them here, and add another one of these. And by putting another barricade right here, we get this to fire again. Alright, and that's it. That should be all we need. We're going to run over to the other gate while those are being taken care of and start to set that up.
A boom well chosen. This spot is the most harmonious.
This prevents them from trying to get a path out here. They may walk over to this side, but once they basically realize that they can't pass through the barricade, they'll turn back around. Okay, it looks like some of the heavy units are almost through over there. If they die, then we're good. Yep. So these guys are basically going to be forced to hug this wall.
The enemy army is attacking on another front.
And then after they do that, I'm actually going to be setting them on fire.
With these traps, I attack the Empire. This spot is the most harmonious.
Gotta be careful whenever this guy shows up, just because his little gremlin buddies, teacup gnolls, will eventually wreck a barricade if you are standing on them at the time. They really don't do too much else. If you're in the Chaos Trials, they can scale up to the point where they're like super dangerous, but other than that, not really a big deal.
I consider
Slow them a bit.
trap carefully. As the battle reaches its pitch, I must rise to meet the challenge.
Alright, so this is going to be one of the areas that we actually babysit a little, just because it's not really equipped to take care of itself. And this we're going to kind of set up now. There we go. They can't actually walk through this corner here. It looks like they can sometimes, but they can't. You want to make sure that this corner is touching the post. Okay, right side, we got explosives. They may go for that barricade that I set up there. Not that big a deal if they do.
Our barricades are under attack.
Those are explosive archers. We're going to hope that they get burned to death before they get over here. Going to take aspect of the tiger. Oop. Now we're just going to kind of jade backwards. One thing that you can do is, if you do decide to set up a guardian here, set up some ballista.
When I was ago, we didn't have traps. We just had weapons, and we were
Slow
glad for them.
and more
After
fire.
much meditation, this placement fits my strategy.
And then the slow from the traps combined with the slow from the stable hand guardian should be able to take care of them. If you're using anyone else, I would recommend just let's see. I can't, there's a seam here, so I can't actually place it over this line of brick. But you can
With these traps, I protect the Empire.
block the entrance right there, and that'll make sure that they're moving just a bit slower when they run into the range of the ballista. And the ballista should basically pick off anybody that's heavy enough to get through the fire. So now we're starting up with this side. I'm going to use a bit more coin just to see. I can do that, or I can just do this. This is cheaper, so that's what I'm going to go for. But the rest of our coins going in the center. Now we will have to deal with this gate eventually, and we'll deal with that by just placing a single barricade right here. But because that's not open yet,
Better serve my people. With these
and block this side.
I protect the Empire. When I was a girl, we didn't have traps. We just had weapons, and we were glad for them.
Alright, and then we set up a
Enemies incoming! They've broken through on another front!
web spinner on the left, Spitfire on the right.
Rift is opening. It must be destroyed.
We send this rift back where it came from.
And our heroes destroyed the unstable rift. And there was much rejoicing.
And really, this lane is a whole lot of waiting. There is going to be, I think, a boss or a mercenary coming from here eventually. So we toss a lot of ballista up there. Wait, how did you get past me?
But my heart is rage and fire.
We kind of want them to be forced to pass through there. And then you're going to get a similar situation with the guys that are coming up the stairs from the other side eventually. And there's the block I was talking about. So these guys are basically already toast, no pun intended. And what we're going to have here is a bunch of enemies slow roasted, stuck in the web spinners, and then a similar situation when they get over here.
I protect the Empire.
Going to add another web spinner there, which should affect the guys coming up the stairs, and then we're going to put another Spitfire over there. So the only thing that'll cost you any time here is these guys sort of not realizing that they can't go through this area sooner. It's only a handful, so if you want to hop out there and just wreck them yourself, you can. But keep in mind here that the ballista are really just for heavy enemies. They really don't work well at picking off fodder, since one of the most recent patches, which reduced their fire rate and increased their damage. Which, I mean, is okay. They shouldn't be the best at everything, which they kind of were.
Will kill many minions.
Okay, now we need to go deal with that guy, because being invisible and all, he is just going to sneak past all of our BGH traps. That is pretty much why the Pride Assassin and the Dwarf Priest are two of the most amazing mercenaries to combo together. One of them basically is invulnerable, and the other one is pretty much immune to traps. Unless he's in combat. Alright, gonna do that too. And then you need a second row of ballista up here.
With these traps, I I protect the Empire.
I should point out that since I have short springs in my ballista, they're even worse at picking off individual targets than usual. They're just cheaper. And that's kind of why I have to specifically babysit the left and the right lanes here. If I had left them at their original cost, I'd have fewer of them, but then I wouldn't be able to spread them out as much. You could probably do better overall by just using the Dragon Lance, which is less expensive, but doesn't do quite as much damage. You don't need as much damage as my ballista do, though. So really, it's a whole lot of overkill, and that results in just wasted coin. Okay, so these are closed. The right gate is going to have its enemies staggered. So you see the heavy enemies basically just kind of get murdered. Only thing you have to worry about are the small guys, making sure you have enough damage set up to take care of them. They usually won't get past the guardians. Okay, should be done. Unless we have a second wave coming. Oh no! The upper left lane opened. Completely missed that. I'd already prepared for it though, so.
With these traps, I protect the Empire. Yes.
We shouldn't need any more BGH traps up here. Because by then the two that are here should have taken care of everything. We can fill up the rest of the slots with ballista though, and then the fire is basically going to handle everything here. You can even drop your firewall bracers if you have them, or if not, just go ham with whatever your hero's attack abilities are. AoE is recommended. If you have smolder, you can just basically set everyone on fire. Part of the reason why the tar is particularly useful on this map is because whenever you're using fire, fire generally has a small area of influence or effect, and if you want to hit as many enemies as possible with smolder or with firewall bracers, you can get more when they're all clumped up together like that. Okay, what do we have here? A few heavy enemies. They're really not going to get taken down too much by the fire, but the ballista are at an angle that they should be able to ignore the shields. And we have some explosive archers coming out of what looks to be the left and the right. So, since they're going to come here, we're actually going to back off. Just going to prevent them from going through there. Alright, all of the explosive archers that came from the right gate are basically dead. Most of the small enemies basically get killed by the fire anyway. Now, I could just let these guys run through and get shot by the ballista, but I'm not trying to wait for that. Alright, 2 waves left.
Watch out! An unstable rift is opening. Get to it and destroy it.
So this is probably one of the most unstable, well, most annoying unstable rift locations. There isn't really much you can do to automate this to not have to come and check for it. If it happens to spawn there, then you have to go fight it. Most of the other locations you can set up some sort of trap system to deal with it for you, but not that one. These guys should get taken care of by the ballista. And because the other guys are going to be coming through from the upper left gate, then they're basically just running to the same traps in a little bit. However, they're basically what will drag out the time on this wave. So what you want to do is head to the back of the line and start cleaning up the enemies that way. That way, the front of the enemies are already running into the traps and dying, while you are dealing with the reserves. Oh wow, somebody actually made it through. Single archer. And that's why you want to use Dragon Lances.
This is the final wave.
Alright, we got about a minute and a half to clean up this last wave.
Unstable rift is opening. Destroy it. Hooks off. We have destroyed the unstable rift.
We're gonna go ahead and clear the bottom first. Just to kind of prevent everything from getting overrun here, and to make sure that if those heavy bears get anywhere, then we manage to take them out. Iceberg's gonna come through the center, and we're gonna have to watch for him, because even if he manages to get hit with the BGH ballista, and because he likes to take his time back here, you know what? Oh. Didn't expect to get frozen there, but it happens. Alright, and now we just need to hit these guys. Come on, you're wasting my time. There we go. So that's actually a really inefficient way to clear that stage. I do that sometimes just because it's possible with characters like Yi-Lin, because she has the mobility to clean up sort of mistakes or inefficient things that you do. With Brass, we won't really have that luxury because we can't move around as much, so we'll have to do it in a much more efficient way. So I'll show you guys that when I do this with Brass, probably tomorrow, and then we'll see what else we need to do. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any comments about it in the description or beneath the description of the video. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Like always, if you learned something, that's great. But until next time, have a good one, folks.